What are our top 10 SummerSlam matches? You're about to find out. What's up, everybody? This is Fred Richani of This Sports Courier Wrestling. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. We do reviews, interviews, and everything in between. We are going to go over the top 10 SummerSlam matches and our humble opinion. You may agree, you may disagree, but let's get to the list. Number 10, Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch, SummerSlam 2022 for the Women's Championship. Bianca Belair, the EST, got the win. This was a fantastic match. This was the match that these two future Hall of Famers should have had at SummerSlam 2021 when they decided to do that absolutely disrespectful, disgusting squash match after Bianca Belair successfully defended her women's title. Of course, this led to an epic feud that culminated at WrestleMania and then a rematch at SummerSlam, and this cemented Bianca Belair's place as one of the top women's wrestlers and wrestlers in general in the world. I thoroughly enjoyed this match, and I love the fact that Becky Lynch really wanted to finish the story and put a bow on this feud by saying, hey, Bianca Belair, she's the best of this generation right now. Although, as we currently know, Becky Lynch still going strong. Shout out to these two for having one of the best BEST matches in SummerSlam history. Number 9. I gotta go with SummerSlam 1998, Triple H versus The Rock, ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. This took place in my neck of the woods, New York City, Madison Square Garden. This match, I would say, bell to bell, isn't a technical classic. It's not even one of the necessarily the best ladder matches you'll ever see. But I felt like given these guys aren't crazy stunt performers, they don't take crazy bumps typically, and the fact that these two guys at the time were positioned as future cornerstones of WWE, and they eventually became future cornerstones of WWE, that this belonged on the list. Awesome match, really good stuff. And while Triple H got the win and got to hold the IC title in the air at the end of the day, you could make the strong argument, and really actually you can't make an argument, that The Rock became the much bigger star. But hey, it worked out for both of them. Triple H, Hall of Famer. The Rock should be Hall of Famer. And at the same time, both guys absolutely transcendent WWE superstars who the company built around for years and years to come. And in the case of The Rock, of course, it eventually led him to Hollywood, where he's one of the iconic big movie stars of this generation. Number 8, SummerSlam 2002, maybe the greatest SummerSlam from top to bottom of all time. Rey Mysterio versus Kurt Angle. At the time, I thought, you know what? Rey Mysterio, he is the biggest little man. He had an incredible career in Mexico and WCW, had a cup of coffee in ECW, but could he have success in WWE? Keep in mind, this wasn't just the era of big men. This was the era of big men and when the company was run by Vince McMahon, and had a great match with Kurt Angle. This was a precursor of many great matches to come for a guy that, on and off spent over 20 years with WWE, give or take, with the absence and everything else. This was the start of great things to come. He would eventually, even though he lost to Kurt Angle, go on to win the tag team titles with Edge. A few years later, he'd win the Royal Rumble despite entering number 1. He'd go on to WrestleMania and win the world title. He'd win the world title 2 more times, and eventually he'd be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame. And to this day, at the time we're recording this, he is still going strong. And what can you say about Kurt Angle? Maybe the greatest wrestling career for a guy who had no prior experience of all time. Keep in mind, Kurt Angle didn't make his quote-unquote main roster debut until late 1999. So we're talking less than 3 years in, and Kurt Angle is already on a Hall of Fame trajectory and had an incredible match with Rey Mysterio, the first of many incredible matches with Rey Mysterio, as they were part of the epic SmackDown 6 that really carried that brand in the early mid-2000s. And yeah, if you have not seen this match, go watch it. It still holds up to this day. Number 7 for me, a personal favorite, Christian Cage, aka Christian of Edge and Christian, versus Randy Orton, no holds barred match for the World Heavyweight Championship, SummerSlam 2011. This was the culmination of an epic feud. I gotta say, Christian is such a great wrestler that this was probably the greatest one-sided feud in WWE history, other than maybe Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio in 2005. What do those feuds have in common? Well, both antagonists just could never, ever get that big win, at least not legitimately. Now, eventually, Eddie Guerrero did beat Rey Mysterio, way past the peak of their feud. And eventually, Christian Cage sort of beat Randy Orton for the World Heavyweight Championship by disqualification. Yeah, long story there. Orton went off. He wasn't supposed to get disqualified. And, well, he got disqualified at Money in the Bank 2011. And that led to Christian Cage winning his second World Heavyweight Championship in WWE. And then it culminated at SummerSlam in 2011 with a fantastic no-holds-barred match. I think one of the more underrated matches, not just in SummerSlam history, but WWE history. These guys had great chemistry. And leave it up to Christian to have a great match and a believable, fun, entertaining to watch feud, despite the fact that he never got a legitimate win over Randy Orton in his WWE career, at least up to that point. But man, this was great. It was kicked off with Edge saying, Christian, why you got to be such a whiny little bee? And Christian thought that Edge was going to be in his corner after he was in Edge's corner at WrestleMania before Edge retired. But nope, Christian was on his own, and he took an RKO on the steel steps. Orton got the win. Fantastic match between two fantastic wrestlers. And hey, both are still going strong. Number 6, Edge versus The Undertaker, Hell in the Cell, SummerSlam 2008. This capped off an epic feud between The Undertaker and Edge. This started off with a triple threat match in late 2007 when Edge, with the help of the Major Brothers, who were rebranded Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, impersonating Edge, causing Undertaker and Batista to lose a triple threat match at Armageddon. Edge captured the world title, and he held it up to WrestleMania 24, and Undertaker versus Edge headlined that pay-per-view. Great match. Undertaker won, and everybody thought, oh, this is the end. But lo and behold, it was just the beginning. This led to a series of confrontations, including an epic TLC match at Extreme Rules that saw The Undertaker at his advanced stage taking a huge bump off a ladder through a bunch of tables, and it eventually culminated at SummerSlam 2008. The reason I love this match is not only because of the intensity of Edge and the fact that these guys in general had great chemistry, but also the fact that this was the first Hell in a Cell match once the PG era was instituted, meaning they couldn't use blood, there couldn't be extreme violence, and somehow, some way, these two dudes, including The Undertaker, who's synonymous with Hell in a Cell, made it work. And at the end, Undertaker got the win, vanquished his rival, and then, quote-unquote, chokeslammed Edge through the ring / hell, all the way to hell, as Jim Ross said, with flames coming out of the hole. Hey, they needed that effect. Overall, great match. Number 5, John Cena versus Daniel Bryan, SummerSlam 2013. Excellent match. This was a match where at the time, a lot of people didn't think Daniel Bryan would win. While he did win the world title a couple of years before that, it was in a fluky manner where he was the Money in the Bank winner at TLC 2011, and Mark Henry had just taken out the Big Show, who beat Mark Henry for the world title. And literally, Daniel Bryan ran in and just rolled up the Big Show's fallen carcass, 1, 2, 3. And he never really got a legitimate win as the world champion, despite getting over. And he had a great feud with CM Punk, and it involved AJ Lee and all kinds of twists and turns in 2012. He had the very entertaining partnership with Kane as Team Hell No. And then finally, he was starting to be reheated, repackaged as a single star. And with John Cena, yeah, this feud was really good, but they kept beating you over the head, saying, you know what, this guy's a B-plus player. He's not ready. He looks like a goat. He's a goat-faced gremlin. You know, all the little nudges to make you think that he wouldn't win and to not give him credibility even if he won. But they not only had a great match, no surprise, Bryan Danielson, one of the greatest of all time, but they also had a title change. Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan won, pinned John Cena practically clean, although they had an out where at the time he claimed I believe it was an elbow injury. And at the end, he was celebrating, and what happened? Well, the special guest referee, Triple H, pedigree Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, who was the Money in the Bank winner at the time in 2011, came out from the Raw side, cashed in, 1, 2, 3. I did not like the aftermath at all, though it did lead to the epic WrestleMania 30 crowning of Bryan as world champion again. But overall, this match was fantastic. And also, at the time, a rare borderline clean loss for John Cena. Number 4, another great match involving John Cena. This time with CM Punk, SummerSlam 2011. And very similarly to Daniel Bryan versus John Cena, SummerSlam 2013. I thought this match was great outside of the fact that, the aftermath was not that great. Much like SummerSlam 2013, the special referee was, yeah, you guessed it, Triple H. And man, the ending to this was egregious, but the initial ending was great. So it was CM Punk, John Cena. If you didn't live through their original feud and you only watched their feud in 2025, I am so sorry. Their feud from 2011 to 2013 was epic. These guys had great chemistry. At the time, CM Punk had won the WWE Championship at Money in the Bank 2011, and they did a whole storyline where CM Punk was going to leave with the world title as his contract was expiring. In real life, he actually came back. He actually decided to sign on the dotted line, got generational money, and he came back within 2 weeks, which I thought was very lame. I thought they could have ran with this storyline where CM Punk was the rogue WWE champion across the Indies, Ring of Honor, all these places for at least a couple of months, at least up until Survivor Series, maybe even the Royal Rumble. But no, instead they brought him back within 2 weeks. And it's crazy because CM Punk is the literal WWE champion at the time. But then Rey Mysterio wins a WWE Championship tournament to become the sort of WWE champion. And then John Cena challenges Rey Mysterio and wins the sort of WWE Championship from Rey Mysterio, despite being a good guy, a babyface, on the same night. So after John Cena wins, poor Rey Mysterio, CM Punk comes out. He debuted Cult of Personality in WWE. That was his theme in ROH, or one of his themes anyway. And he confronted him, and that led to a quote-unquote unification match with Triple H as the special referee, SummerSlam 2011. Excellent match. CM Punk got the win, 1, 2, 3. A rare, sort of, kind of, clean loss for John Cena at the time. And man, after that, Kevin Nash came out, returned after many years away from WWE. He was previously in TNA Wrestling. Jackknife powerbombed CM Punk. Alberto Del Rio, a.k.a. Alberto El Patron, a.k.a. Alberto El Abuser, came out, cashed in his Money in the Bank. He was the Raw briefcase holder at the time. 1, 2, 3. Alberto won the world title. Not great in hindsight, never mind the fact that Alberto's a terrible person in real life, but also the fact that Alberto managed to hold that world title for a whopping 1 month before he loses it to John Cena. He'd reclaim it at Hell in a Cell 2011, and he'd hold that title for a whopping 1 month yet again and lose it to CM Punk at Survivor Series 2011. That being said, if you take away the Kevin Nash return and the cash-in, this was an excellent, excellent match and a precursor of more epic matches to come from these two icons. Number 3, the very first tables, ladders, and chairs, oh my, match. SummerSlam 2000. Edge and Christian, the Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys. They laid it all on the line. They more or less had the first unofficial TLC match earlier that year at WrestleMania 16, WrestleMania 2000. That was an epic matchup, but my goodness gracious, these guys took it up a notch, laid it all on the line. It was very clear in the intensity of the match that all 6 guys had something to prove. Edge and Christian, of course, would eventually become future world champions. Bully Ray and Devon, not so much, but they did go on to TNA and have great success. Devon was a former TV champion in TNA. Bully Ray eventually became a 2-time TNA World Heavyweight Champion. And then, of course, you had the Hardy Boys. Jeff Hardy became a massive superstar before his issues got the best of him, but he, of course, held multiple world titles in WWE and TNA. And Matt Hardy eventually captured an elusive world title in TNA as well. And this was just an excellent match. Edge and Christian, fun fact, won the WrestleMania 2000 ladder match, won the first TLC, and won the second TLC at WrestleMania 17. Absolutely epic. TLC matches are great. I don't necessarily need to see them every year. I don't need to see a ladder match every couple of months because while these guys are relatively doing well in life, they all suffered issues down the road. Of course, Bully Ray with his injuries. Devon had to retire eventually. Christian and Edge had to retire early due to neck and concussion issues, and the Hardys certainly had their fair share of problems. And while at the time I'm recording this, they all seem okay right now, yeah, the risks were pretty crazy. Number 2, Bret Hart versus Owen Hart, SummerSlam 1994, inside of a solid steel cage. Excellent match, excellent feud. This was set up at WrestleMania 10 in the opener when Owen Hart shocked Bret and pinned him 1-2-3 just hours before Bret Hart eventually captured the WWE Championship in the main event. And this set up a great feud, and it ended with an awesome cage match. Bret Hart got the win over Owen, but Owen was such a believable bad guy, a believable heel, that you can make the case for him winning the world title, even if he held it for a cup of coffee. In retrospect, I certainly wish he did. Rest in peace, Owen Hart. But not only was this a great match, this feud, this match, this set the bar that still has not been met and cleared to this day for brother versus brother matches and brother versus brother feuds. They've tried. They had the fake brothers, Edge and Christian. Not a lot of great matches. They had Matt Hardy versus Jeff Hardy. Not a lot of great matches. Oof. They had the Usos. Definitely not a great WrestleMania match, to say the least. Bret Hart, Owen Hart, as a feud and as a match, still clears. I don't care if this happened before you were born. Go on Peacock, go on Netflix, wherever you watch your WWE content, find this match, watch it, and watch two masters at work who not only made everything look real, but they made everything look real while being as safe as possible. And that, my friends, is a lost art. Here's an honorable mention from me. John Cena versus AJ Styles, SummerSlam 2016. A phenomenal match, no pun intended, that saw AJ Styles beat John Cena clean. You see a pattern here. John Cena's record at SummerSlam is not great. It's usually the time where he puts guys over. And at this stage of his career, John Cena was putting over more guys cleaner and cleaner. And AJ and Cena have phenomenal chemistry. Again, no pun intended. I actually did watch them have a version of this match in 2016 at a house show at Madison Square Garden. They went like 30, 40 minutes, I kid you not. And it was one of the best matches, maybe the best match I've ever seen live. It was great. Cena won that one. It was non-televised. This was televised to a worldwide pay-per-view audience. And AJ Styles got the win. And at the time, AJ Styles was in his first year of WWE. He stumbled a bit. He lost to Chris Jericho at WrestleMania, which was just inexplicable. He did have two great matches with Roman Reigns for the WWE title in a losing effort. But this feud with John Cena took him to another level. He pinned John Cena 1-2-3, clean as a sheet here. And this led him to the SmackDown branded pay-per-view WWE Backlash September 2016, when he defeated Dean Ambrose, aka Jon Moxley, to win his first WWE Championship and prove to everybody that already knew it and those that didn't that he is not only phenomenal, but one of the greatest wrestlers of this generation. Our number one SummerSlam match of all time, WWE SummerSlam 2002. Shawn Michaels versus Triple H in an unsanctioned match. This is one of my all-time favorite matches. As a fan of both guys at the time, they brought it. They had incredible chemistry. But for context here, especially as a kid at the time, Shawn Michaels had been out of action for over 4 years due to a debilitating back injury. Of course, as we got older, we learned that it wasn't just a back injury, it was drug issues and all that jazz. He eventually, thankfully, cleaned himself up. And long before he was cooking it up in the NXT booking committee, he was making magic in the ring. And this was the start of his second run in WWE that arguably was even better than his first run, if you can believe that, considering he practically had two Hall of Fame careers in one. And he came back against his real-life best friend, Triple H. Triple H had attacked him in storyline, and this led to the match between the two. They had excellent chemistry. Shawn Michaels took these back bumps on the chair, on the floor. Jim Ross did such a great job of selling the fact that, oh my God, Shawn Michaels back. And again, as a kid, I'm watching this going, oh my gosh, his back. How? Why? Don't do it, Shawn. But At the end, Shawn Michaels got the pinning combination, reversed the pedigree, got the win. It was great, or so we thought. And then Triple H from behind takes the sledgehammer, hits Shawn Michaels in the back, breaks the sledgehammer across his back again. And Jim Ross says, "You son of a bitch, why? Why, Triple H, why?" And it just, one of the all-time great Jim Ross calls, one of the all-time great heel moments. Triple H is all bloodied up. He's smiling. Shawn Michaels is down. And we wouldn't see him again until the late fall, which culminated in Survivor Series 2002. Michaels inside the Elimination Chamber, winning his fourth and final world title in WWE. And of course, Triple H would eventually recapture that title from him in a 3 Stages of Hell match at Armageddon in 2002. Whenever these guys were in the ring together, it was magic. Whether you think Shawn Michaels' back issues were highly exaggerated at the time, the reality is the guy was out of the game, out of the business, out of the ring for 4+ years, at least in WWE. He did some stuff with his wrestling school, but as far as on a major stage like this, he was out of the game for 4.5 years. And for him to come back, have an epic match like this, capture the audience's attention, create magic, just amazing. It's no wonder they called him the show stopper. But I want to hear from you. Do you agree with our top 10 favorite SummerSlam matches? Do you disagree? What would you take off? What would you put in? Let me know. Leave a comment below. If you enjoyed this list, like, share. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more updates like this. And until next time, everybody, as always, enjoy the matches.